Okay, I've been trying to make these videos for the better part of today. I was able to get about 30 seconds in before apparently someone wanted to use dustless sanding for like 6 hours. Now someone's sanding and sawing other stuff, so hopefully that's not too distracting. And then the way the light was coming in was weird. So we're going to try this. All right, this is going to be basically in two parts. I'm just going to kind of intro this so that way the actual sort of video can just kind of run smoothly without having to do a lot of stopping and breaking. So what I want to do is, um, especially for some of some people, if our school year's kind of done, have something for the summer to work on, or other people and other students who can't make it in, um, to have sort of a more comprehensive Qigong workout. There's still other stuff that I want to do, and stuff I'm trying to work out. It's kind of hard to do a couple of things I want to do because you can't really see like the feet, and I don't really have a great setup or anything. But so this is going to be a combination of things here. What I want to do is, and these are all, I have these on bits in other videos. What I want to do is the Taiji Qigong, the Fang Sung Gong, the Duan Jin, and the Yi Jin Jing. Now, all of these have other videos on my playlists and everything else like that, as individual ones, but I'm going to kind of put these all together. But I want to do this, so this is sort of like the preview intro video. So I'm just going to try and kind of put them all together, talk about them real quick, and some of like the stuff to do. So that way, when it gets into the actual thing, 'cause it's probably going to be a little longer, we can just bam, do it and get it go. I'll call stuff out and lead it as it goes, but this will give the sort of like preface to a lot of that. Okay, so what to remember is that we're going to breathe. So if my navel's here, about 2 inches below navel, right about the belt line, when I breathe in, I'm going to breathe that lower abdomen in, exhale, forward. So I'm sort of exaggerating my breath, but you want to isolate this lower abdomen area. That's the lower dantian in the Chinese system, sacral or second chakra if you do the chakras. But yeah, that lower abdomen, so that the diaphragm is more up here. You want to even breathe below that. So we're going to breathe it in, pull in towards the abdomen, not up into the chest. Keep it here. So it's almost like if there was a line. So this would be like the Dantian point. This would be the Ming Men. There's like a straight line going back and forth through the body, technically, sort of parallel to the ground. And you want to bring that and not activate the chest, just the lower abdomen. And we want to keep the teeth or the tongue right behind the teeth at the roof of the mouth. That's going to complete that Ren and Du channel circuit, the microcosmic orbit sort of channel, the main superhighway meridian through the body. Also, the posture that we want to have is like our head's being pulled up by a string with our chin tucked in. So our head's up, but not all turtling. We want in. Shoulders over the hips, that crown of the head, the baihui, over the perineum, the huiyin, nice and aligned. So, if you took the car on its side, if the crown of your head is one tire, your perineum is the other tire, and there's that axle that runs between the two. That's going to be that central line. I think I want to say it's called the Hara line. I think maybe in like some of the yogic stuff, if I remember correctly, that's where your dantians or your chakras are going to be on. So if there's like a string of pearls, that's the string. That's that sort of pole that the merry-go-round horse is on. That's kind of locking you in. That's the center line that we want to do. It's not necessarily just the drawing in here. That's the center line that everything's going to rotate at, with one exception, and we'll talk about that one exception. It'll be the Yi Jin Jing. The chest here, so if I have my sternum pointing one way and my navel and dantian pointing one way, that's all going to move, rotating on that Hara line. And it's going to be the same thing in Taiji Chuan, Xingyi Chuan, Baguazhang. All that's going to have the same thing. And we don't want to have, if we're bending, it's not squat hinge. This is fine if you're getting in and doing like deadlifts or rows or something like that. No good for internals. we want, if we're going to bend, like when we do horse stances, I'm not squatting horse stance, I'm horse stance. So shoulders over the hips, bai hui over the hui in, this still line, and sit, as opposed to hinge. So those horse stance, there's one in Yi Jin Jing, there's mostly in the Jin and things like that. So, and we're going to try and combine the movement and the breath as one. So the gathering in, the wow, I'm sorry. Oh boy. So the gathering, the combining in, the garnering of the energy is with the inhale, the expression is with the exhale. Same thing as, again, working out, punching, anything else like that. So we're going to combine all those things in. So we want to have, in Taiji, there's one of like Yan Chenfu's 10 things is collapse the chest and raise the back. I've talked about this in other things, but I'm going to give a quick thing here with that too. That does not mean collapse the chest and raise the back so you get this sort of like slumped over, hunchback sort of thing. No, collapse the chest means, in contrast to what we're taught, especially as men in the sort of Western societies, taught to walk around like this. Chest out, walk around. I did this when I was younger, and it hurt, and it sucked. And what that does is it brings up all this stress into your heart and lungs. And where, especially again, as guys in the West, where a lot of our problems come into, heart and lungs. We're dealing with all this COVID BS now. What is that going to do? Your lungs. So let's keep the lungs nice and relaxed and groovy. Take your vitamin D and all that other stuff. So instead of chest out, relax the chest. This is sinking the chest. See how my shoulders are back in one way, but they come forward in the other, and there's almost like a little sliver of a curve across the sort of collarbone, clavicle sort of area here from delt to delt. It's like a thin sort of line. That's what you want. That's collapsing your chest. Not this, but in between here, relaxing those shoulders. And lift the back doesn't mean now, again, lifting the back like that. What you want is with that nice straight posture, you want to almost think like you're pulling your head up and your tailbone down. So lifting the back is if you have, if this book here is like the disc and my fists are my vertebrae, you want to sort of open that space up and down below it. So the disc is open a little bit more, and we've got more space between that. It's super nice. The Fang Sung Gong is really going to help that from the Chen style Taiji stuff. They teach that, and it really does help a lot with the spine. It's really great for spinal stuff. And as someone who has had some spinal issues, it's been really cool for that. So the Taiji Qigong is just sort of a nice little intro sort of thing. Get us used to moving our body and breath together. Fang Sung Gong, again, is going to focus kind of more on spinal. Jin, you're going to see 8 gajillion different versions of the Jin. It's sort of a standard thing, and there's going to be similar exercises in each of the 8. This is going to be the 8 that was sort of, the last one that when I was with my teacher that we had and how we worked that, and that's the one I kept going on through. Yi Jin Jing is more like tendon, helping with tendon stuff. That usually comes out, is said to come out of Shaolin. And depending upon the other time that's going to go, I might throw in just as sort of a cool down the Taiji Qigong as well. Some of that's going to depend upon the time. So that all being said, I want to just sort of run through all the things real quick and talk about, there's a couple of places where we can adjust or make some sort of provision for if something's a little bit more difficult, or space, or things along that line. So I'm going to kind of run through everything and talk about it as I go. So the actual thing, we can just go. So the Taiji Qigong, it comes out of basically this. Zhou Senghua and some of his teaching stuff. I think this is the book he has this in. Because there's also I have his meditation book as well, but I'm pretty sure this is the one with that. But that's pretty much where we kind of got that out of. Just so happens my book's right there, some of them. Those portions of books. I have others. Anyway. So that's going to be, it's real easy. So again, I'm just going to go through it, but these are going to be combined with the breath and the motion. So it's going to come up and extend. So it's almost like you're opening your wings and then let it glide. And then we're going to come over. Now I'm just going to call out these normally. Usually if we were in class and I'm like facing you, I'd try to do the reverse. But I'm just going to call it out normally now. So we're going to come in and right wrist over the left. And as we exhale, we're going to let them drop. So it's almost like your cat on like the back of the chair or something, where they're just kind of hanging out, being cool. That's kind of what we want. I'm going to come down and lift, almost like, again, I'm carrying like a really big book. This is going to happen a lot, this kind of coming out. I'm going to come in and push back out. I'm going to come in, but this time push up. And as we have everything come down, again, we're going to follow. So when we're coming down in all these ones, first thing we're going to do is tuck the chin. That's going to help expand. I think there's 7. Yeah, there's 7 vertebrae in the cervical, which is the neck. There's 5 in the lumbar. That's 12, and then 12 in the thoracic. So so you got cervical in the neck, thoracic, lumbar, and then thoracic, then lumbar, and then like your tailbone and that other kind of plate in the bottom is like the sacral. And there's 24 vertebrae total. So as you do this, you're starting to open that space up. So we're going to do that, and we're going to follow down. And as we come up, again, this is going to be repeated later too. We're going to have our hands in front, push up, push down. We're going to bend and switch. And then we're going to kind of repeat the beginning. And that'll be that. Before we go on real quick, especially if we're going to get into the Fang Sung Gong next, after that is, there's sort of like 3 ways the muscles around the spine can work. I was listening to I think Bruce Kumar Francis was saying something like this, and someone else, I'm forgetting who. So I apologize to whomever that other person I was listening to was saying this. But if you have like your spine, and there's the muscles on the spine, they stretch out and around, but they can also squeeze in and move up and down. So those are sort of like the 3 motions that you kind of want for those muscles around the spine to be able to have flexibility, have strength, and be able to kind of move and then have range of motion with. So when we're doing this guy, that's really, it's very obvious getting this. But when we're coming around here, that spine, almost those muscles around, you can feel it coming in this way. And there's other ones that will come and bring them back, especially when we get into Bada Jin. I really find that really is good to sort of exemplify those 3 sort of directions with the muscles with the spine. And that other person was talking about Bada Jin. I don't know who it was. I'm sorry. All right, so the Fang Sung Gong. What we're going to do is, this is going to be, each sort of thing we're going to do is going to be in with like a 3 breath timer. So when we're actually holding the thing, almost like yogic, it's going to be with 3 breaths. So the first thing is, and a lot of these shoulders, arms, neck, head, just make them nice and relaxed. So as we roll, everything's nice and relaxed. We're going to come around, that's going to be 3, and then we're going to do both sides. So that's the first one with that. The next one's going to come in several parts, and it's going to be, I can't really get everything in. Again, I don't have any actual equipment for this. So we're going to come up, we're going to look up and plant the fingers up. So it's almost, again, like we want to open up that spine going up. And then we're going to make fists, bring the shoulder blades back, straighten the head, and we're going to bend at the hips for part 3. We're going to push forward and bend. And we can let go and roll up. This next one has a couple of parts to it. So we're going to come up almost like the opening form for Taiji, flip one hand, block with the other, and watch where your knees are. We want to keep the knees over the feet. We don't want to collapse or open or do any of this other funky stuff with that. keep them rooted down. So as we turn, we're going to turn here and try and look directly behind, and then bring the head back. And as we come back and come down, we're going to roll each arm. We're going to roll it like my sort of imagery for that is if you see like a flag or a piece of fabric sort of flapping in the wind, or some of my plastic here when there's wind coming in because none of this is insulated at all. So it's going to be, we're going to roll shoulder, tricep, elbow, forearm, wrist, hand, fingers. And when we get to the fingers, we're going to let it drop. So it's going to roll, and we're leading from the dantian. So we're going to roll out and release. And we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So with 3 each side for that. And I'm just going to pause here for a moment because that's life flight, and that's going to get loud. Okay, that should be, keep going. All right, so we're going to do that, and it's going to be both sides. So after we do, 1, 2, 3, we're going to come out, do the other side, and then reverse. 1, 2, 3, bam. So the next one is going to be sort of the first of the larger bends. We're going to hook the fingers behind the head, gentle pressure in with the head. I'm not like jamming my head down. We're just enough as we bend and put just a little bit of pressure on there again to help extend that space and open up any blockages. And we're going to roll. So we bend, and then we can kind of come back up. Next one is we're going to dip to the side, plant the hands up, plant the hands down. We're going to take our 3 breaths. Then we're going to Pete Townsend strum. Let the arm just kind of be there. Another 3 here. Again, of course, what you do to one side, you do to the other. Algebra. And so that'll go on to the next one. Now, I think with the chans, I'm kind of skipping a couple because they'll have one that's, standing in almost like that 2-hand hold the tree posture for like their first one, and then their last one is actually standing with like their breasts and like leg up with that. So I'm kind of skipping those and doing the sort of meat ones here. So after that is, again, we're going to reach up, we're going to go up on the balls of the feet, lock down on the head, and roll down into a crouch. Now again, all these are going to be best able. So we want to so we come up, and then we come down into a crouch, and we're bending in. Set the heels, and we're going to have our stretch here. But you're going to release the hands, push up, and then we're going to go and bend, do our breathing over each of the legs. And that'll be it for Fang Sung Gong. We'll move into the Bada Jin. Bada Jin, again, another one we've done before. Some of this stuff is going to be a little repetitive from the other ones or have very similar things that help, but that's okay because I mean the repetition is going to be good for that too. So we're going to have our heels together, bend, link the fingers on top of the head, push up, look up, push the palms up, and that'll be for 3. Then we'll come in here in the horse stance. Now, we can do a couple things. You can do sort of traditional one with the feet parallel, or the sort of Chen style one with the feet out. Either way, be careful of your knees. You want your knees to track out over your feet. You should be able to feel your weight through the heel, through the ground. Now, yes, that means, you're still going to feel some strain in the muscle because you're still using the muscle. But there's a difference between, okay, yeah, you can feel the weight, the muscle taking the weight of the body and pushing it down versus, oh, my knee or my ankle really hurts because all your weight is on your knee or your ankle instead of through the heel into the ground. There's a difference in those feelings. So you're going to have our horse stance here. We're going to breathe in, cross left wrist over right. We're going to look to the left. Our right hand's going to pull the string. The left hand's going to hold the bow. And there's like, again, that wrapping around the back of the spine. I'm not jutting my chest out, but there's that coming around with the spine. Now, there's a couple things you can do. You can either keep this as a fist as you come out, or as spear finger. Now spear finger, what I mean here is I'm going to curl in that main middle knuckle, but keep this one out. And you can press in with the heel of the palm out if you want to do that way too. So we can do here, and we're going to release and cross the other wrist and pull. And we're going to do both sides with that. Next one is going to be very similar to what we did in the Taiji Qigong, and we're going to repeat it more. So I'm going to be here, palms up. So it's this one. We're going to do this 3 times each side. Bam. Now, we're going to be here again, horse stance. So it's going to be kind of a pattern of this. And we're going to chamber the fists. And we're going to punch out towards the corner. So if this is here, this is 90 degrees to me. No, actually, this is more 90 degrees. So 12 to 9 o'clock, 45. We're going to that corner. So we're splitting that distance in half. There's your geometry. So, and we're coming out and punching. Now, and we're going to do, that's the breathe out. You breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Now, a lot of times you'll see the name of this is stare at the fist angrily. I use stare at the fist intently because, again, having that idea of stare at it angrily, then that might start, building in whatever sort of emotional content that's unnecessary for this and probably not very helpful. Especially something like that starts getting, nah, we don't need that. But you want the intent of that sort of laser focus, sort of like Zen samurai intent in there, out and bring it in. Now again, it's not out dynamic tension back and pull it in sort of thing. No, there's a through line through the whole body with it, but it doesn't mean that you're just cranking out. Like some of those guys, like you see, I don't know if you see like these Qigong or these Taiji videos, I've seen them, it kind of, the white dude or whatever on the beach with his shirt off, and he's all like that, no flexing. No, that's no good, because that's all tension, that's all blockage. We don't want that. More ways than one. Anyway, so that'll be that. Next one is going to be, again, we're going to have our heels together. When our heels together, our feet are making a 90-degree angle. So there's like a V that comes out from our feet, and therefore also our knees. We're going to lift up, plant the fingers, so lifting up on the balls of the feet. We're going to lead with the eyeballs and look behind us, stretching the neck, and both sides, stretching the neck, both sides. And we're going to have one more. Now this is one more horse stance, I should say. So this one has a couple variations. This is, again, the last one we went through when I was with my teacher. We have our palms up, elbows forward a little bit here, because we don't want, opening this up too much in terms of tension. What I'm going to do is I'm going to twist to the left first. Again, watching the knees, so they're not doing these guys or anything like that. Watching the knees. I'm going to twist, and as I twist, I want to look at the opposite ankle. So if I look left, I want to look at my right ankle. My right hand's going to reach over. My left hand is going to almost like skim the floor. And you want to make it look like it's sitting next to the other heel. So if I'm up here, my hand to me looks like it's by this right heel. This other hand reaches up and over. So that's going to be, breathe in, back to center, exhale, twist and do the other side. 2 more. Hands on the back, feet together, tuck the chin, and we're going to roll down. As we roll down, we're almost like opening up each space between the vertebrae. Hands stay behind the legs. Again, this is going to be best able. So if you're only coming into like here or something, okay, as long as you're getting a stretch. But you want to try and get, a little bit lower, and come around maybe even to the toes and to the floor. And when we come up, the hands are going to go back behind the legs, and we're going to roll up, almost like we're stacking each vertebra on top of the other, and then roll back, looking up, and that'll be 3 times. So the last one is going to be the only time where this is going to happen, where you wrap the thumb in the fist. Now we're going to place the knuckles right about the kidneys, if you want to take, I always kind of take a second and give just a little sort of rub there. Thanks the kidneys and being the seat of essence and the adrenals on there and all that. Now there's two ways to do that, or two ways I know of, I should say. There's two ways I know of to do this. One is you gather everything up and I'm not going to hit hard because my neighbors are downstairs, but you can come up and gather and bam on the heels. And again, but not sort of on the heels. You want to almost like you're pushing your heels through the ground, so that way that shock wave doesn't just sort of stay in your feet or your knees or back up to your back. I particularly don't really like that one. Especially if you don't know how to issue Fajing well, there's that possibility of getting that kind of stuck somewhere, and it's not so good, especially back pain and things like that. The one I like to do, and this like really does a good job kind of like shaking up like a stagnant system a little bit, as well as kind of getting sort of like tension and stuff to kind of out, is I'm just going to bounce. So now I'll usually go with this, the 36 times being a auspicious number with a lot of things in terms of numerology and everything like that. So that's the Bada Jin. Yi Jin Jing. There's a couple parts in here that are a little bit tougher, so that's why I'm kind of, one of the reasons I'm doing this now is like the preview, is to be able to preview that, so when we come to it again, you can make your decision. I don't have to stop and talk about it and see what's going to do. When we go through everything, we can go through everything more smoothly. So we're going to start feet together. I'm going to come up, look up, touch the palms, bring the hands in together, elbows out. And again, these are going to be in sets of 3, but I'm just kind of running through it right here with the elbows out, and I'm leaning in. So my leaning in doesn't mean I'm lifting my heels. So I'm not lifting my heels. So I'm leaning in. My heels are still on the ground. And then when I come back, we roll. So the feet are rolling. So you have those. If this is my foot, you know, right under the front pad in the middle and right in front of the heel are those bubbling wells. Those 3 like really main sort of acupressure, acupuncture points and nerve clusters. Amazing how those things tend to work out as correlating. Almost like people who spend all day every day for, you know, decades mapping you know, the interior of your body and feeling everything out might have actually found some things. It's weird. But the way you roll with that, you're kind of rolling those, you're putting pressure on them and therefore activating them. And when you activate them, you're getting those nice good impulses going in and making all that massagey stuff going on. So that's one of the reasons why, even if like you do some of those single leg stances and like yoga and stuff like that, it's okay, because you know, the movement of it is massaging and activating those. So after the first guy here, we're going to open, palms in, pull the shoulder blades and therefore the muscles around the spine back, and push the fingers into the walls. Turn the palms up, push up. Now, next what we're going to do is we're going to have to go back and forth. So we're going to have our right hand first between the kidneys on the spine. Left hand's going to go out. So the exhale, we push. Inhale, we turn. We turn the hand and fold and then push. And then when we go back to the palm, scoop, flip over and push. So turn, fold, scoop, flip. Then ba, ba, ba. Right? Yeah. So we're going to come in and we're going to step out, cut, and push. So it's almost sort of like a bow stance. We're going to push and turn forward and back. Both hands are pushing. I'm going to make fists, twist the heart of the fist in the front hand, and when I exhale, pull it in. So I'm pulling, I think it's called like 9 bull pull by the tails. So I'm pulling into the face and I'm pulling into the hip. Now again, this isn't like you've got, you know, weights on a cable and you're no, the intent is to pull. It's not the actual like dynamic in with it. The intent is to pull. So we're going to go and pull in, again, 3 times. Then we're going to come in, turn to the other side, do the same thing. I'm going to step up, chamber, lean forward as I push. Twist, make fists, pull in. Again, same thing, and repeat. Then we're going to come back to center. My right hand's going to go back between my kidneys on my spine. My other hand's going to come up over my head. And look at this. We're going to go pinch the index and second finger around the earlobe. And we're going to breathe in, and we're going to, again, wrap the spine and look back. Exhale forward. And then that's 3. Then we're going to switch and do the other side like that too. Bam, and bam. So we're going to go into another horse stance after this. This is almost like Taiji opening form, but and then an extended version almost. So I'm going to bring up my wrists, elbows down, open up my fingers, press down. As I press down, I sink into that horse stance. Again, sinking straight down, not hinging out. Come down. As my hands come by my hips, they push out past the knees. So that's going to be the 3 times for that. Here's the one time that I know of where the thoracic hinge is going to be turned, because we got the thoracic hinge, thoracic spine, right here where like the xiphoid process is, the sort of outline of the ribs come in and meet underneath the sternum. That's sort of like upper range solar plexus sort of thing. So what we're going to do is the twisting is going to be, so if this hand is pointing this way, this hand's this way, I am twisting this, because one of the things that this is going to work is the liver. Liver's about here on my right, on everyone's right side, unless you got some weird sort of mirroring thing. I think they talked about in Orphan Black with Helena. She had like everything was mirrored. She was like the twin. And anyway, so it's almost like we're going to be massaging that. Some of these motions and everything are built to massage the organs with that. So the one hand is going to be chambered. The other hand is going to be in front of the chest, and we're going to twist and look forward. So my navel's mostly straight, my sternum's the thing that's changing. I'm twisting on the thoracic hinge. So it's going to be that, and then back to forward, and then both sides. On top of that, we're going to exhale with a sound. It's going to be shh. So the shh, again, going for the liver, getting it to resonate. So we're going to do that on all 6, 3 on each side. Okay, here's one of the main reasons that I wanted to actually have sort of a preview intro to this whole thing is for this next one here. Now, the way normally you're going to see it is we're going to come out, step, bring the fingertips down, and we're going to swoop down and come up and look. And then we're going to come down and reverse. So come back and up and up. Now, that's one way to do it. The other way to do it, if that's too much, and again, I'm doing this so when we do it, we can just go right into it however you want to do it, is when we come out and step, we're still going to do this part, but come in on your knee. So bring secure like your palms on your knee. You're still going to swoop and arch and look. We're going to be more in that sort of a long bow stance and up on the knee, down and reverse. And come forward and up, both sides. Whichever one's best for you. Whatever works. If you want to try it, 1 or 2, doing the one, it's not working, you want to try the other one, that's fine. Just make sure, it's evened out on both sides. That's a big thing on the symmetry. Make sure it's even out on both sides. Or even, oh, okay, this didn't work. Stop it for a second. Catch up, resume the video, and then do the other side or catch up with that. Whichever one you need to for that, that's fine. Now the next thing we're going to do, definitely something we need to actually talk about beforehand, is we're going to keep our legs nice and big, bend here, looking down, and our palms are going to be over the ears. And the fingers are going to be sort of splayed. I realize you can't freaking hear me. So the fingers are going to be kind of splayed, two on the neck, two on the skull, on each hand, sort of like this. And we're going to tap. Well, in that bent position, we're going to tap 36 times. Now we're kind of getting, again, there's right here. So the spine goes into the skull, and then we've got those two spots on the other side in here. Probably really prominent on my bony bald head. Those are like these gates of life sort of thing. And that's kind of where we're stimulating and getting that in there. So after that, you get done with the 36, I'm going to push out, stretch straight, and we're going to breathe in, twist, come down, breathe in, twist, come down. We're going to do both sides on that. Step in together, take a re-regulate, take whatever hand you write with on top of the other hand and bring into the dantian. Now, depending upon the time, I will either end there or go into, go into another round of the Taiji Qigong to sort of cool down sort of thing. That's where I'm leaning. That's kind of what I want to do. But I'm going to kind of be cognizant on time. I don't want it to be super long or super crazy or anything like that. So that's the preview intro to this sort of like Qigong conglomeration that we're going to do. So we're going to do Taiji Qigong, Fang Sung Gong from Chen Taiji for the spine, the Duan Jin, sort of the version I know of that sort of mega famous thing, and the Yi Jin Jing for the tendons, and then probably close in with the Taiji Qigong. So that's it. That's the preview. That's the intro to the next thing I want to do. And then now we're just going to go do it. So hope that helps. If you need to kind of go back and watch anything, circuit around, that's cool. So when we get into the thing, we can just go like it's part of class and people have done it before. And maybe some of you have, or if you haven't, you at least can kind of make it smooth. Cool. Good luck.